Write an equation of the line with the given slope that passes through the given point. These will be written in point-slope form. So y minus the y value equals the slope times x minus the x value. Remember, if we have minus a negative, we can change that to say plus the positive version. Match each situation with the equation that represents it. Write one equation in each box. Pedro is 6 miles from home and rides his bike at a rate of 10 miles per hour towards his home. Write an equation that describes the relationship between the time he rides his bike in hours and the distance he is from his home, y, in miles. So if he is 6 from home and he's riding towards his house, those are going in opposite directions. So we would have like a positive 6 and a negative 10. The rate is 10 miles per hour, so the rate is usually the one that gets the variable. So the equation that would match here is y equals 6 minus 10x. There are 10 gallons of water in a bucket, and the water leaks through a crack in the bucket at a rate of 6 gallons a day. Write an equation that describes the relationship between the time the water leaks, x, in days, and the volume of water left in the bucket, y, in gallons. So there was 10, and 6 are leaking. The rate in this case is 6, so we will have y equals 10 minus 6x. Ava walks from home to the store at a brisk pace of 6 feet per second. So that's the rate. It's going to get the variable. She has already walked 10 feet from home. Write an equation that describes the relationship between the time Ava spends walking, x, in seconds, and the distance she walks, y, in feet. The cost to ice skate is $6 for the skate rental and $10 for each hour. So that is the rate with the variable. Write an equation that describes the relationship between the time spent ice skating, x, in hours, and the cost of ice skating, y, in dollars. Lily already has some money saved. She adds the same amount of money to her savings each week from her job at a taco truck. The table shows time in weeks since Lily started working her job, and Lily's savings in dollars. Is there a proportional relationship between Lily's savings and time? Explain your thinking. The way that we could determine if it's proportional is dividing the y value by the x value. If we divide 540 by 2, that gives us 270. The next row is 940 and 4. But when we divide those, we get 235. So no, they are not proportional. And the reason is because the values of the ratio of her savings to time is not the same. B says find the slope of the line that represents the linear relationship between Lily's savings and time. Well, the y values, the savings, we can subtract and then divide by the x values, or the difference in the x values. So here that was a difference of 400 and a difference of 2, giving us a slope of 200. Explain what the slope of the line means in the context. That means she saves $200 each week. Write an equation relating Lily's savings y to the time in weeks that have passed x. We can use point slope form. We have a y value of 540, a slope of 200, and an x value of 2. E says find the y-intercept of the line representing the equation from part D. So we're going to solve it for y to find the y-intercept. 200 times negative 2 would be negative 400. Oops, that should say 540. Then we'll add 540 to both sides. So now our equation is written in slope-intercept form. So the y-intercept is at 140. And it says in F to explain it in the context. 140 is her starting value. That's what the y-intercept represents, her initial value. So the 140 means that she had 140 in her savings account before she starts saving money from her paycheck. How many weeks does it take for Lily to have $4,940 in her savings? Well, that is the y value. Oops. We'll subtract 140 from both sides. That's 4,800 equals 200x. We'll divide both sides by 200, and that gives us 24, and the x represents weeks, so this is 24 weeks. If Lily saves money at this rate for 1 year, which is 52 weeks, what is the total amount she will have saved? So now that weeks is the x value. $200 times 52 to start. Which is 10,400 plus 140 is 10,540. and that is in 1 year. Mr. Adams wants to know the total cost of his water park visits based on the number of times he visits. Write an equation for this situation. Well, we know that every time he goes to the park, he has to pay $5 per time he parks. And he also spent $150 on his annual pass. So X represents the number of times he goes for the parking, and then the Y would represent the cost. B. Mr. Adams has a $275 budget for the water park visits this year. Use your equation from part A to determine how many times he can visit the water park for $275. Again, Y represented the cost, so we need to put the 275 in the Y position. We're going to solve it for X. Divide both sides by 5, and X equals 25, which means that he can visit the water park 25 times. Sarah is traveling to her cousin's house at a constant rate. Her cousin's house is 459 miles away from Sarah. After traveling for 2 hours, Sarah is 323 miles away from her cousin's house. How many hours will it take Sarah to reach her cousin's house? So we're going to find the slope between these values. We had 459 minus 323. She starts this far away, so that would be 0 hours, and then it takes her 2 hours. If we subtract 459 minus 323, that is 136. And 0 minus 2 is negative 2. So when we divide, our slope comes out to negative 68. And we know that she started 459 miles away. Then it says, how many hours will it take Sarah to reach her cousin's house? So we want it to be a distance of 0. So we'll subtract 459 from both sides. Then we'll divide both sides by negative 68. And that will leave us with 6.75. And so it will take her 6 3/4 of an hour to travel to her cousin's house. That's the end of lesson 6, or 26, excuse me. Check back for future lessons coming soon.